Hi, my name is Melissa Perkins, and this is my case study, part 2, the very last portion of it. I was reviewing what I propose as the corrective action path forward for school improvement and policy review and revision, and discussed a little bit about gathering information, calling a broad stakeholder meeting to discuss the challenge, potential consequences, and potential actions, and review the current policies and any available policies of model schools. In addition to gathering information about the specific case and maybe investigate further the case that we're discussing, in addition to the broader perspective of what policy changes and or new policies are needed. Form a data evaluation team, have a cross-functional team of education as stakeholders review student reporting, decision-making, and the student discipline policies, and also broadly communicate and periodically train on the policies. So review, modify as needed, and communicate student reporting, decision-making, and student discipline policies with all stakeholders. So this is really the continuous improvement plan, and really to make a long-term impact, not just an impact on James and David's future, but the impact those in the future that may be in similar situations. So how will this plan be implemented? Evaluate the facts of the assistant principal calling James to the office for discussion on tardies. The student, the administrator, in this case, the assistant principal relationship. Was that appropriate to have that one-on-one relationship, and the assistant principal only to have a focus on the South Side students? The teacher reporting, potential drug exchange. What are the facts? How should it be reported? Versus that casual reporting of a speculation only. Evaluate the police handcuffing and taking immediate legal action prior to parent involvement and without an ethics evaluation or investigation. Evaluate the documentation practices and the history of police policy training at the school, and policy communication to the broader stakeholders. Review, modify as needed, or develop, implement, and communicate student reporting, decision-making, and student discipline policies. So every teacher must report real-time and involve administrators or counselors before taking action, is what I propose. Roles at all levels clarified regarding student counseling and discipline. Update the student reporting and investigation process. Make it the timelines clear of when it has to happen and what the approvers are. In this case, the teacher reported, but it was something she had seen previously, so she didn't report at that time. She only reported when she heard the student's name being called over the overhead system. And consider whether an automated system maybe can be used, so it's not just a verbally somebody letting one person know. Advocate for bullying consequences at all levels. Was the police bullying when they handcuffed? Could be in question, the student-to-student bullying or other. All relevant stakeholders consulted and involved, and the policies communicated to all within the school, to the community and parents, etc. And take immediate action as needed on the police, the teacher, and the student. That could just be discussions, formal discussions about what happened in this case, and new policies that will be implemented in the future, and how it could be done different. It doesn't necessarily mean disciplinary. It means really looking to a brighter future and continuously improve, not just about getting people in trouble, especially if it was blurry on what needed to be done in the first place. And involve social services and juvenile court system only if necessary. In this case, it seems like there could have been a formal investigation or one-on-one discussions with the teacher and other things prior to taking immediate action. And above all, ensure equity If there's a policy in place and based on what you vaguely know of two students, you can't just make a judgment on one versus the other of what appears to be the facts. So I think innocent until proven guilty, or until investigating and finding out really what the facts are and what is the ethical path forward and the best path forward for all students involved and the school. References are shown here. And the addendum, I wanted to just give a reflection here. I believe this case study gave me an opportunity to evaluate an ethics versus policy situation, kind of real world. In the end, I will always advocate strongly in the education or other arenas. As mentioned in my prior cases, I've been in the drug development area, many other in terms of clinical trials and what have you, ethics questions, I guess, involved. And so I would always advocate strongly to do what is right, not just what the rules say. But I don't think you can just break rules without questioning, were they right in the beginning and should they be changed? And what's the formal process to get the rules right before just deciding we won't follow them? That said, instead of trying to decide on what is right for James and David, I've already mentioned this a bit, but I believe strongly that we need to step back and make sure the policy and our policies are written as they should be, and whether continuous improvement is needed, not just to dodge this situation or evaluate this one case, but what's the bigger picture to get it right for all future cases that may or may not be the same as this. There seem to be numerous opportunities in this case to improve the Rocket Junior High culture that stand the test of time, and not just this case. Reporting processes for teachers with speculations that could be clouded judgment based on what they know about one student or the other. In either case, whether it was the teacher or the assistant principal in this case. Improved discipline process, so not just handcuffing and taking to jail and then detention, but there's got to be a process that's followed for prior to getting to that stage. The investigation process itself, as I mentioned, mandatory confidentiality. In this case, they called two students in at the same time without witnesses or those things involved, or without one-on-one to have discussions with each. Maybe without police involvement, just one-on-one discussion as an assistant principal who cares about the students. And parent involvement before escalation, I think, is definitely a must, prior to starting an investigation on the student, not just after action is taken. So those are the main reflection points. I enjoyed this, and there's definitely a lot of real world situations where there's gray in between black and white, and how you deal with those are often, how you kind of are judged in the future as a leader. So I think it's important to step back and see if you can learn from case studies prior to going into a real world situation. Thank you very much.